It is in my heart. I am biased for sure. I love this land, and every time I see my theme at the beginning, I get a little annoyed they are too fast. But there are so many things to show. I don't even know which one to take to get rid of. And I am incredibly proud to say that, thank God, people also from the US share my feeling. And tonight I have a good friend. He's the husband of a very, very good artist, Rita Passeri. And his name is Roy Heffner. And he's lucky because he is in the first location of Tuscia and Fiori this year. Let me show you guys what happened last year in Villa San Giovanni in Tuscia. That is the place where Roy lives. Villa San Giovanni somehow was unique. Here we go. Good evening, Roy. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Giulio. Nice to see you again. It's been quite a while. Been like at least a year since I've been on your show.
Actually, you know what? It has been too long. We definitely have to do something about it. But right now I'm in California, so it's going to be hard. So, Roy, I have a question for you. What did you do all day?
All day I worked my butt off.
Do you mind if we show it?
No, I love you to show it, but you know what
So
it was.
What is this? What is this?
These are in our village. We have these two horse corrals, and of course, in the spring the grass grows and they're not maintained. And so for years I've been looking at these things, going, why aren't they maintained? And then I realized, hello, I have time. I love my village. I have a driving lawnmower. I have a weed whacker. I can maintain these. So I went to the village and I said, I want to adopt these fields. And they said, great, you know. So I do it, and it's just great.
This is after, right? This is before.
This is almost done. So this is before, of course, and this is almost done in the big corral. And if you keep clicking, this is done.
That's perfect. That's fantastic. You did all of this by yourself?
Yeah, this is the street. This is the street I live on. No, when I work, you know, I can only do a perfect job. You know,
I know that's a problem.
I can't do a half-ass job. I got to do it right, you know. So
okay, so Roy,
so it's great. It's very rewarding, and you know, my village, which I've lived in now for 14 years, I love this village, and Villa San Giovanni is really a unique place, and so of course I have time. I got a mower, I got a weed whacker. Why wouldn't I? I'm looking for more things to do. So
anyway. Roy, let me ask. So you are a big shot. You know personally President Carter. You have been doing all your life in New York, in the US, and so forth. And now, long time afterwards, you find yourself in a small village in Italy. I want you to tell me differences.
Well, the main difference between me and everyone else is that wherever I am, I'm happy, and because I'm me. And no matter, I mean, if I was transported tomorrow to Shanghai, China, where I of course don't speak Chinese, or I'd be perfectly fine. So wherever I am, I'm happy. So originally, my plan in life, when I had a lot of money, was Rita and I would live in New York in the spring and the fall, and we would live in Italy in the summer, and we would live on our boat in the Bahamas in the winter. And that was my plan, but I lost like a couple $1 million, and
Life
And
happens. Life
so
happens.
now, so why am I living here? Well, first of all, I can afford to live here. Again, I made a lot of money in my life. I should have, tens of millions of dollars. I don't, and so I live on my American Social Security, and so, but housing is the largest cost of living. But here, we live in Rita's ancestral mother's house. There's no property taxes in Italy. There are some, but not for people like us. And and things are inexpensive in Italy compared to other parts of the world, particularly the United States. Tomorrow, for instance, we're going to buy our vegetables, uh, and we're going to Montefiascone, which I'm sure you know quite well. And
Oh yeah.
uh,
Oh yeah.
we will buy 2 weeks of vegetables, which this family grows. They don't sell anything that they don't grow. So you can't buy oranges and apples. They do have apples, but you can't buy stuff that they don't grow. And so we'll get 2 weeks of vegetables, and we eat a lot of vegetables. Every night we eat vegetables, and that will cost us about $30. And we'll come home with an unbelievable amount of artichokes and radishes, whatever. So 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 living here is easy. But if I was still in New York, I'd be happy, and if I was in Chicago, I'd be happy. And if I was, but living here is very, very easy, and I couldn't be happier. I mean, I really couldn't. I've been here for 14 years and living in this little house that we have. And I realized, I've lived in this house longer than any other house that I've lived in. So,
That's
anyway.
great. So Roy, I understand you're a happy camper, right? You're a happy guy. There is no problem with that. We understand. What I want to get out of you is, so now that you know both life very, very well, you have been there for 14 years, you live for I don't know how many years in the United States. Life is very different in the two places, not only Italy versus US, but US versus Villa San Giovanni. And my position is that the quality of life in a small village is incredibly high. I want your take on it.
Well, we could talk about this for hours, but first of all, a big difference between Americans, particularly New York, Chicago. In America, there's really two countries. There's the Democrats and there's the Republicans, and the Democrats live mostly in the large cities. Um, the but the biggest thing that I found that's different between here and particularly in Villa San Giovanni is the concept of homesickness. 20% of Americans move every year. 20%. We're talking, 60, 70 million people. Nobody in Italy moves. So for instance, I don't have, I was born in Massachusetts and my father died and we moved to Florida and then went to Chicago and then went to Boston and then went to New York. And so this thing that I was talking about, it doesn't matter where I am, I'm happy. But that's not true for most people. And particularly for Italians, when they're away from home, they're not happy. And so this idea is quite different. I told you if I was stuck in Shanghai tomorrow, I'd be perfectly fine. If you took somebody from San Giovanni and put them in fucking Shanghai tomorrow, they would not be happy. Okay, they would
You
not be
are
happy. But
correct.
what's really the positive thing is that the concept of a family in Italy is really different than in the United States. It's really different, and the family here is much more strong. In Italy, people think who don't know anything about Italy, like, oh, Italy's been around for thousands of years. No, they haven't. Italy's been a country since 1847. That was, in 19, so, but the regions and the places where people live. So the most important thing to an Italian is family, and the second most important thing is their village, and maybe food then and clothing, but it sure as heck isn't the federal government, because the federal, so that concept of family here it's a very powerful thing, and I don't have that because my father died when I was 10, and I'm an American. Our families are apart, so, and I'm not. Sometimes I think that's a negative. People that maybe could have become something stayed, in their
Sometimes,
village,
yeah, sometimes
you
you're
know,
right. Yeah, yeah, sure.
and so they couldn't get away because of there's a lot of social pressure, and in Freud's psychology, you have the ego, which is you, but you have the super ego, which is the society you live in.
Sure.
And a well-rounded person is someone where the ego and the super ego are in balance, like 50-50. But in Italy, the super ego, society pressure is very great. So
Oh, yeah.
in many ways, it's positive, the family thing, but in some ways, it's not. So.
Very good. Okay, now you mentioned this thing about the most important things are family and the village. We call it campanile. It's the church. We live around the church. We meet on Sunday and so forth. There is one campanile in particular that is the most famous in our area. So I want to show you a little piece of video and then we talk about it. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the most famous campanile in our area, the one that moves. It's called Macchina di Santa Rosa, something like the Santa Rosa machine, but it's not a machine. 117 people carry it on their shoulder, and it's a fantastic, unique emotion. Have you seen it?
I have. I've seen it a couple of times. It's truly unbelievable. Now, I'm not a religious person, and and these kinds of things kind of freak me out. But this is fantastic. I mean, it's like it's everybody who comes to Tuscia, has to see this because it's. I don't care about this religious significance. I know. I read about it. I know. It's just unbelievable what these people do to carry this thing through the street. It's like unbelievable. I mean, there's guys. I don't know how many big guys are under there. Maybe 200. And this thing is like 50 meters tall, 150 feet tall. It's huge, and they carry it up and down hills and through the streets. And they take it up to the top of this church. It's really an unbelievable thing. It doesn't matter whether you understand it or care about it or believe in it, but it's fantastic. It really is. And the sculptures themselves, every 5 years they change them.
That's right.
And so it's a big deal to be, to be the person that
Yeah, you
creates.
become instant aristocracy
Yeah,
immediately.
but they're very unusual, and it's just great. It's a fantastic thing. I love stuff like that. I was watching a YouTube video the other day on this village in northern Italy where they had this 3-day festival where they throw hundreds of thousands of oranges at each other. I mean, what other country in the world would do this shit? 3 days.
3 days. Okay,
And
Roy,
then,
let me show you something else.
okay,
I'm
go
biased,
ahead.
okay?
Sorry. Yeah.
I don't know what you feel, but it's amazing in a negative way for me that such a wonderful place hidden between Rome and Tuscany hasn't been discovered yet.
Well, can you hear me?
Yes,
Are we going to talk about Tuscia and Fiore? Because I'm ready.
I am very ready. I am very
Okay.
ready. So he hasn't been discovered. Tuscia Fiore wants to make it known to everybody.
Well, Tuscia is this undiscovered area. What I find interesting is that there's a number of people, such as yourself, that are trying to promote the area. And what you did last year with creating Tuscia and Fiore for our village was transforming. It was unbelievable. I know you had many villages, and they were all great, but what we did here in Villa San Giovanni was fantastic, and it brought a couple of thousand, several thousand people into the village. But what it did for us was it united the village. In our village we have us liberals, and then we have those other guys, and they don't get along at all. But during your event, Tuscia and Fiore, everyone in the village got together and made it a huge success. And this year it's going to be even bigger, and I got all the details.
Yeah, this is what I honestly try to do. I gave the hint. I told them that I was going to be there for them. I did the communication, so promotion and so forth. But then I stepped back and I said, present your village, do what you want to do. And I think the natural instinctive creativity of the people came out. I think that's what happened. What do you think?
Well, last year, part of the reason that it was a major reason it was a big success was that your efforts provided money to the villages to make it happen. And this year that hasn't happened because you had to get a grant. You got the grant last year. You couldn't get it this year. They only give them up. But but Fiore and Tuscia still lives on because it was such a big deal for our village. The village, went out and found other money, and for government funds and private funds and village funds and donations. And this year it's going to be bigger than last year. So it's really great that you did this. And but what's great about our village is that we're going to continue on, with or without you. Even if you said, I'm not doing it anymore. maybe
that
still do.
there is nothing will make me happier. This is what I believe in. Yes, I believe you need to push a little bit, but then afterwards people have to take over, because that's the only way it works.
Yeah.
Little push, yes, but then
Yes, and that's what's different. Last year I went to a couple of the other, Tuscian Fiores, and I know you want to hear it, but they weren't that great.
that's fine.
And,
I take it.
well, because our village is kind of unique, that it's part of its history. Villa San Giovanni was not a village; it was part of Bleda. And when Italy became a republic in 1947, it also, for some reason, there were laws, and so Villa San Giovanni became a separate village. It was no longer part of Bleda, and so there's a lot of pride in the village, and that's what you'll see if you come here for our
Oh, I
Fiore and
will.
Tuscia. You'll see that, and it's going to be great. We have all kinds of stuff going to happen this year, much more than even last year. We're expecting 2,000 people on Saturday and 4,000 on Sunday.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure 100%. It's gonna be a big success, and particularly, I think it's gonna go precisely in the direction you're pointing. There is this pride, of being one, believing it. Second, being the best at it. And I believe there is no way anybody's gonna beat Villa San Giovanni, because they took it in the right way and they're not gonna stop. I'm sure 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, let me show you something else. Can I?
All right. Let's
You
see
don't
it.
mind, right? I want to show you something, and I want to ask you something, and I hope it's going to be okay.
All right.
Okay, so you know this one, right?
Of course. Banreggio.
Civita di Bagnoregio is definitely well known all over the world,
I call it
particularly in the Far
Banreggio. I
East.
don't call it Civita.
Yeah, in the Far East is very well known. 30% of the presence there, they are estimated around 1 million plus, are from the Far East. So people definitely come. There is no question. And 2025, Bagnoregio could be the Italian capital of culture, and Tuscia Fiore is going to be part of the process, which will be fantastic. I don't know if you read the newspaper these days. That's these days news.
I read the newspaper like 6 hours a day, but of course not Italian. But let me just say while you're showing this for people, Banreggio is great. I've been there many times. I take people who come visit. It is nothing compared to our village. Villa San Giovanni is full of life. Okay, this place is dead. Okay, now it's got little tourist stuff. It's a really, it's wonderful to go see. Everybody should go see it. Villa San Giovanni is full of life. This place is dead. It's a tourist thing, It's beautiful. Everybody has to go there one time. You want to see the real Italy? Come to Villa San Giovanni in Tuscia. This is the real Italy. This is where the real people live. And we have so much stuff going on in the summertime. It's so much fun. It's unbelievable. There's nothing going in Banreggio, and this is it. This is it right here.
And Roy, I don't know if you know this, but it looks like you are absorbing Italian culture on top of living there, because now for you the village is the most important thing in your life.
Well, it is, but I've done some. I've been in the White House, as I told you once before. Okay, so I've done some interesting, cool things. But wherever I am, I try to, I'm a geographer by education. I'm a realist. Okay. My wife's an artist. I don't have any artistic skill because I'm sane, Villa San Giovanni is perfect. It's a wonderful, wonderful. No, if I was living in a little village in Thailand or somewhere, I'm sure I'd be happy. But this is a wonderful place with wonderful people. And the current administration is doing things, and there's so much stuff going on here.
There is no question. There is no
We don't,
question.
we don't have, in New York City, you have, billions of dollars of taxes that pays the government. The government here in the village gets, practically nothing, from, so they have to stretch their budget, and to put on these events that we have, that, that horse field that I cut today, this will be the third year that it's happened. It's unbelievable how fantastic it is. Just like going to a Barnum's and Bailey circus, and so this village is doing some great things. I'm perfectly happy. I've had great times in New York and Chicago, but none better than here in the village,
Roy, let me summarize. So you are suggesting to a few Americans, not too many, to consider Villa San Giovanni or Tuscia in general as a place to retire. The cost of living is very low. The quality of life is very, very high. And certainly it's a place where, if you want, you can work your butt off and lawn the lawn and work the grass. Or if you're not, you just enjoy the events here and there all year round. Is that correct? Sound right?
Sounds just about perfect. And I had many people from the village today driving by looking at me like, are you crazy?
Okay, Raul, thank you so much. It has been already 30 minutes. It's a pleasure to listen to you. Let me ask you what I ask every one of my guests. Is there something you want to tell us and I didn't let you say before we say goodbye?
No, I can't repeat myself. It's, life here is great, Life here is great. And I hope they come for the events this summer. There's so much stuff going to happen here, and the Tuscia in Florida is going to be fantastic. So come on.
Very good. Okay, Roy, I am going to thank you, and I will definitely see you early May, if not sooner. So good night, good evening, my friend.
Bye.
Regista, com'è andata oggi?
Bene, benissimo, come sempre. Ci vediamo alla prossima, Giulio.
Dalla Tuscia